when I first came in the fall of 1969, I was recruited by a group of Chicano students, about 5 of them. It was a core group of Chicano students, that went down to Othello sometime, I think it was sometime in August. And I was actually heading to go to school in Columbia Basin up in the Tri-Cities, Community College. And I think it was the first week or second week in August, I have this group of Chicano students come over to recruit us, and we met in the library. And so my first exposure were to really this small group of Chicano students that came to recruit some students to the University of Washington. I was surprised, that it was so late in the summer, that they were still accepting applications to the University of Washington. I said, great. And so I applied and got in. And they had set up a Chicano house in Lander Hall. And so there was it's a group of us. I can't remember how the size of our class, but it must have been probably 30 students, 25, 30 students. And the majority of us were placed in the Chicano floor, the 8th floor in Lander Hall. And so my first exposure was to that group. And we had something in common, and what we had in common was that we were all coming from Eastern Washington, and most of us came from the farm, and so there was a lot of similarities. There was some leadership within this group, a small group that had been there, that had been recruited by the African American, and so they had been exposed the year before, in 1968, to some of the issues. And so there was some leadership. There was also at that time was called the Equal Opportunity Program, and they had some staffing. And actually, let me rephrase that. It was actually called the Special Education Program initially, and it was when we came in, that's what it was called. It was later changed to the EOP, or the Equal Opportunity Program, because Special Education Program, people felt that it was sort of a name just didn't fit, what was going on. There was nothing special about us other than we needed an equal opportunity in order to come to the University of Washington. So there was a group of people that we kind of looked at, for some leadership, because we didn't really know what was going on. I mean, we didn't know how the educational system worked. We were used to going to high school for 6-7 hours a day, and this was going to be different. This was going to be, we were completely on our own. Never been on our own before. And so this group mentored us into when we arrived at the University of Washington. And a lot of us were successful because of that. We needed that mentoring. They, in turn, had been mentored by the African American community, the blacks in the University of Washington, when they started their movement. And so it was a pretty close group. And we developed, obviously, alliances with the other groups, with the African Americans, with the Native Americans, the Asian community. And so we had something in common. And we were trying to make some changes there at the University of Washington, so we worked together very closely.